We're back out on another project. Today, we're gonna be talking about 5 reasons why I chose to build barndominiums. I hope you guys enjoy this video. Let's get it going. So we're out today at another project. It's a brand new project, at least for the channel. It's in Wills Point, Texas. This is our Rodeo Ridge design that we're building out here. It's a beautiful L-shaped barndominium. There's a lot of advantages that we're going to talk about. The first thing on the list today of why I chose to build barndominiums is the advantage that you get with the roof lines themselves. Having a roof line that gives you all the free span, that's your number one clear advantage. So if you're trying to decide whether or not you want to build a barndominium and you've got all this complicated roof styles, maybe a barndominium is not for you, at least on that point. So on this build, we have an L-shaped barndominium, but you can see we're getting quite a bit of elevation. We did do some decorative things here off the front porch. Some of that comes with time and experience, and it's not too big of a deal for us to add a little bit of that gable into the main slope where you have a couple of valleys. I know that there's other builders who that gets a little more complicated. They're really not interested in doing some of that. But for us, we've kind of grown accustomed to it. We can handle some of the higher pitches as well as some valleys when need be. Another thing this roof does is it steps up. So we have a drop down on the side. So that gives a little more dimension as well to the roof line. It makes it look really good. And it turns out that this is going to be an advantage for this build as we show you on the inside. So one thing that you see us do pretty commonly while we're talking about roof lines is a decorative gable design like we're doing here off the front porch. This adds a little bit of dimension, giving it that wood truss look, and always is a nice touch when you're trying to have that more staple look off the front when it comes to aesthetics. So not only is this a decorative aesthetic, but it also gives us some additional structural strength. Keep that in mind too, like anywhere you're attaching these steel porches, it always adds some shear strength to your structure too. So you'll see that as we get across on the back side of this build, we're able to extend our roof line all the way down and past, extending our main steel beams even across that back porch. So we got a lot of good options that we're utilizing here on this build. So here as we come into this build, our next key characteristic or advantage with barndominiums is flexible design. So that is always led by the roof line. As you can see right here, we have a large open space. I'm going to share with you a little bit of the design on this build. This is 2,900 square feet of living. We got 3 bedrooms, 3.5 baths. It's got a little bit of an interesting layout, and there's a key point that I'm trying to make here. We've got a dining room that's over here, right here off the entryway. This could be a bedroom or an office because it'll have a closet tied to it, but it flows back into your master closet, which flows back into your master bathroom over here, and then your utility room back here over on this space. It's going to be a really interesting design to follow along with. And come on, I'll show you even through here. And I'm going to make my point, but this is the master bathroom that leads back into the master bedroom. So we also have an access that goes back into the main living area. My whole point here is this design is completely freestanding, meaning we have no load-bearing walls anywhere under this living area. So all of our roof line is supported by the exterior perimeters. So that's where you get a lot of tremendous flexibility in your layout because you could pretty much design it any way that you want it on the interior. That is one huge advantage of building a barndominium. So another thing that comes along with the territory of flexibility in design is your free spans. As you can see, this is all open space. Now in this particular build, they actually framed down a cathedral ceiling in here. We do this sometimes where they're trying to change the ridge line, but here, this is actually for another reason. We have a client that is pretty mechanically inclined when it comes to HVAC, all these types of things. So we're gonna have accessibility really on front and back side of this, giving them all open attic space or interstitial space giving them a lot of versatility to manipulate, change, add things along the way. So that goes along under the category of flexibility. But let's talk about as well in that flexibility, what we're able to do with some of our framing advantages, which might add us to our third point, durability. So as we come out here into our shop area, when we're talking about terms of durability, as you can imagine, this actually leans back into my previous point when it comes to flexible design, because we're able to actually switch up our framing method for these areas, which is our shop. Now, this is a 1,200 square foot shop. And you can see some of the things that we do when it comes to our steel framing for these areas. This is not what we do for the living areas. On the living areas, we do something more of a conventional style framing on the walls, which is a 2x6 studded wall framing, and the zip system encapsulates all that. But here you can see a place like this, we have so much versatility because you got an 18-foot by 10-foot door, and then you have another 10 by 10 door here on this other side. This becomes a space that you can use for, say, graduations, birthday parties. Maybe you want to make a home gym. There's a lot of versatility for a space like this. And I would like to add the durability as well, because as you can imagine, all this extra steel adds strength to your overall structure. Using the steel itself does help with durability, and we can use an engineered method where we're adding certain steel for structural reasons where you might not be able to free span. So having the steel actually does add strength as well to the build. So let's go back inside. I want to talk to you about energy efficiency and how that now becomes a key focus to our living square footage. So coming off the shop, I want to show you guys a little bit of the layout. We've got one bedroom here. Each bedroom has their own bathroom. So we also have a half bath that goes off the porch. And then we've got another bedroom over here with its own bathroom. But I want to talk to you about my other point, which is energy efficiency. This is something that we feel like the Barndominium nails it every time. A lot of it has to do with the way that we go about building our wall systems as well as our insulation. Here, you guys might be familiar, we do use a 2x6 studded wall for all of our exterior framing. This gives me a larger cavity space so that I can get more insulation. And then I have the zip system that goes on the outside. This gives me not only a water resistant barrier, but also helps us to achieve a thermal break on the outside as we go over like our steel beam. You can see I've got the steel buried into this wall. And in some other scenarios, we go to a square tubing, which is a 4x4 tubing, which is back over here in this space. You can see that buried here in the wall. Why do I want to tell you this? It's because this is all getting covered, making it to where our zip system gives us a good connection point on the outside. How does that relate to energy efficiency? Well, where we can, we're preventing conduction. All up on the top, we're actually on our hybrid builds, we cover all this with a closed cell foam. Using closed cell foam in these environments helps to prevent conduction as well as any thermal bridging that can happen through those spots as well. So we really try to get it done when it comes to insulation. And we've been able to do pretty good when it comes to air tightness. So the spray foam helps us do that in these scenarios. Now I really love it when we can get the zip system up over the roof, but it does add extra cost. So there are some advantages to where we can build like a post frame build. We can go to 2-foot girt spacing automatically, which enables us to add that zip system a little bit more economically in those cases. But when we're building a hybrid steel frame like we're here on this build, this is kind of our 1-2 punch of how we normally deal with this. But energy efficiency is always the main focus and how we're winning out on that. Now, adding to our energy efficiency subject, let's talk about air conditioning. This is something that, as we've been doing better about getting a more airtight structure, we're learning new things about what we should be focusing on. Like in a build like this, we're going to be able to achieve some pretty good air tightness. We're probably going to be recommending going to a variable speed unit. I think our client's already, because of his background, is already leaning in that direction to do a lot of variable speed equipment when it comes to HVAC, as well as like water heater. There's hybrid water heaters that you can use that are more energy efficient, as well as going to a dehumidifier on the whole system. So this is something that we've been doing a lot in our more recent builds. People that have a mind for energy efficiency, they're kind of focusing in on trading maybe some of that brick and mortar for having a little bit better efficiencies on the inside. Keeping the cost low, the demand low on electric. This is a real key advantage and a benefit. In a more predictable framed home like this, you can achieve better efficiencies. That's what the Barndominium does, because we don't have all the shapes maybe that you would have in some of the conventional framing. A lot of the ins and outs, hot zones, hot pockets, all these kind of things. That's another key advantage, and why we're able to attain better energy efficiency in a build like this. So before I get to my last point, the other day, somebody wrote in on a comment and asked, could I explain how we do our overhangs, on how we weave all that together? Well, I wanted to show you this because we don't have the soffits covered up yet. So you can see how some of our purlins are hanging over and how they're added back. So basically at every structural post, we are adding some connection points for this fascia that runs across this way. These guys do a great job of getting this as straight as possible, especially during this time frame as they're running the roof. We run a string line all the way down to make sure that the roof is really straight. You can see this is where we'll attach our soffits underneath. Then we'll get a fascia trim, a rake trim, and a fascia trim that will actually meet up, and then we have gutters that tie into those two pieces. We'll try to show you maybe on another video what that looks like in a finished state. This is part of one of our last key points that we're going to bring out, is low maintenance. Because all these soffits and all the fascia and all that is going to be a finished, baked on color finish, as well as the siding on this build, that means that we're not going to have any painting to do when it comes to your maintenance on a build like this. So what I always tell people, a lot of what you're doing on this, because people say, well, shouldn't Barndominiums be cheaper? Well, why? What have you seen here that is less than what a conventional frame is? There's some misconceptions there. But what I always tell people, what I feel like a lot of our clients are doing, is trading brick and mortar for efficiency and all of these other advantages that I'm talking about when it comes to a build like this. But let me show you where additionally there's going to be some low maintenance involved in a build of this scenario. So all of these areas will have closed soffits. The reason why we do that, you don't want to have birds that are going to nest up in there. That creates a problem. So all of this gets covered. There's no painting to do. There's nothing to manage here, as well as all of the walls that's going to be covered here in these places here. The only maintenance really would be maybe getting a pressure washer and washing it down. That's a key advantage to building a Barndominium, is the low maintenance. And honestly, that's why a lot of people are interested in building Barndominiums, because they want all of these things. Some of them are just kind of inclusive, right? These advantages, they kind of come with the territory. But people that are always wondering, well, why Barndominiums? Why Texas Best? Why is it an advantage? Is it still relevant today? Is it still have an advantage to build a Barndominium? Well, any of the things that I just talked about sound enticing to you, I know it does to me. That's why Barndominiums stay relevant today. People are still choosing Barndominiums for all of these reasons, and it's going to continue to stay an option. Our builds are probably, as far as the living areas, probably 80% conventional. The only thing that's different here is I have a spanning roof that I'm taking advantage of, which with the steel which means that now I don't have to have all these load bearing points on the high areas. So those are some really key elements to building a barndominium. If you can keep a simple layout, simple design, you can stay in all these parameters to get benefits from building a barndominium. So I hope you guys have learned something kind of walking through this one. This is our Rodeo Ridge build we're doing here in Wills Point, Texas. We'll have more updates coming soon. It's been my pleasure bringing you guys another video. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do that now. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. I'm Josh Helm, wishing you all the best. Thanks for watching Texas Best.